everyone. We are live for our final interview in this series
Mm.
for the Simple Marketing Bundle. And today I am here with Shannon of Feather Blue Studios, and she is going to share all of her brilliance about simplifying marketing and specifically related to branding and your brand story. So we're going to talk strategy in this interview, which I'm really
Mm.
excited to talk about and like nerd over as well. But as
Mm.
a reminder, the Simple Marketing Bundle, it ends today. Today, April 23rd, 11:59 p.m. Central. So if you have not grabbed your bundle yet, do yourself a favor, grab it. It's $7. That's it. And you get access to over 50 resources, one of those being Shannon's, which she is going to tell us all about. So, Shannon, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and I would also love this incredible product, your refresh plan kit that you're putting in the Simple Marketing
Yeah.
Bundle.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Steph, and for putting on this bundle. It is just such a blessing to people who want to figure out what they need to do to simplify their marketing, and it allows them the freedom to just kind of dive in and do that. So I appreciate that. So I'm Shannon Tacheny of Feather Blue Studios. I am a brand strategist for big-hearted women who want to simplify their marketing by having the power of a brand story that helps them know everything they need to say and put out into the world to connect with clients they love and create collaborations they want and open up opportunities for the future of themselves and their businesses. And so what that looks like is that we help you determine the background of what you need to create a business of joy and of simplicity and of purpose and of profit. Because if you're going to spend all your time running your business, you want it to be meaningful. You want to feel like your time matters. You want to feel like your messaging matters. And you want to feel like that you're bringing something to the world that's really important. And so, really, your brand story, the brand strategy work we do, is actually like the first thing you need to do to cultivate a business that's just plain up going to work, right? And so I think it's kind of ironic. I'm the last interview here, but what I want to tell people is that really this is like the first step. And I say that because we live in this world with all this social media, right? All this stuff being just like coming at us left and right, telling us we should do this and do this and do this. We should get more visible. We should be more consistent. And that becomes chaotic for us very quickly when we don't know what to say or why we're doing it or how often we should or how it's actually connecting or why it matters. And so if you don't know why your marketing matters or where you should be or how that connects with your personality and your client, then you need to step way, way, way back and dig deep and grow deep roots first. And that's what we call your brand story. And so that's where this element I have in the Simple Marketing Bundle comes in. It's called the Refresh Workbook and Checklist Kit. And it is really just like 5 simple pages that are going to open your mind to so much clarity so that you know where you actually want to focus. And so if you were to open the Refresh Kit first, and spend 15 to 30 minutes. It's going to ask you a few questions. It's going to have you rate yourself in a few areas. It's just really pretty and simple. It's not overwhelming. And you do this, you're going to immediately know, okay, these are the areas I actually need to improve in. These are the areas I need to put time into. That's going to also help you understand which other parts of the bundle are going to be good for you. Because it's not good for any of us to have the overwhelm of spending hours and hours and hours exploring gazillions of marketing options when there's more than one way to do marketing, right? There's lots of ways to do marketing that work. The absolute best way for you to do marketing is the way that aligns with your personality, your goals, and your lifestyle. And so when you can step back and identify that, then you only have to pour time into the elements that are really meant to be for you. So that's what I want to do for people is just first open up this clarity, and then secondly, help them understand, okay, let's put the time into our brand story, which is going to clarify all the marketing and simplify all the marketing after that.
Yeah, I love this so much, and I wish you were the first interview in hindsight because like you're right. This is what we need. This is what everybody needs in order to successfully market their business. Because if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what products you offer, you have nothing to talk about, right? And it's
Yeah.
it's I can't tell you how many times people have come to me and they're like, "Steph, I tried XYZ to market my business and it didn't work." And I said, "Well, it didn't work for you, right? Like any strategy
Yeah.
works, right?
Yes.
Every
Yes.
strategy works. There's unlimited strategies that we can use,
Yes.
right? But we always have to make sure that we're using them, well, one, in the right way at the right time. for our
Mhm.
businesses and in a way that feels good to us too, right?
Mhm.
Because, for example, if somebody's telling you that live videos like this are the only way to grow your business and you never want to go live in your life, like obviously
Exactly.
that's not going to work for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's so true because especially what we get hit with the most is the most entertaining, the most extroverted, the most like wild stuff online. And that immediately makes us feel all this doubt and fear. Like, if that's not for me, how am I ever going to stand out online? Right. And so many of my clients personally are introverts or really like big hearted, or, maybe want to have some level of privacy and they want to have a professional business, but they want it to be compelling online. They want to feel really excited about what they're putting out in the world online, but they can't do it every day necessarily. Like, they're going to get worn out. And so we want to help them go, hey, you can stand out online without having to be the loudest voice on the internet, right? It's just that you have to have, any marketing strategy you use can work, but none of them are going to work if you do not have the right connective elements while you use them, right? So I like to call marketing like stepping stone paths. You need to put out breadcrumbs in the world for your right person to find. They need to be in the right order at the right time. It needs to be like, here's the first one, here's the next one. Oh, look, here you are. Oh, look, I'm ready to buy from you, right? We can't be scattering the breadcrumbs everywhere or throwing them wildly into the air. That doesn't work. That's us using 50 marketing strategies without a plan, right? And that doesn't actually get the right people to us. So first we have to go, well, what is my breadcrumb made of? Like, what is my person gonna want in their breadcrumb? And that's my brand story. And so I think of all of these right connective elements, and then I create the messaging and I create the visuals and I drop them into my breadcrumb. And then I just put that breadcrumb into the exact right places for my person to find. And I do it in a way that I want to keep up on. Right. And so when we have like system and strategy in order to this, and we do it in a compelling way, it will work. Right. But so many of us are going, I see that breadcrumb high up in the air that somebody else threw. I better just do that thing. And so they're going crazy on these strategies when they haven't, created the brand story and they haven't actually set out to do what's the path. And they haven't even thought really about like, what do I want in my business? Like, I want more than just clients. I want more than just success. I want like lack of overwhelm. I want a schedule that works for me. I want, the right amount of time. I want to give back in certain ways. Like, which things really matter to me so that I'm finding joy along the way too.
Oh my gosh, I 1000% agree with everything that you just said. There's so much more that goes into. I mean, we're talking about the simple marketing battle, right? We're talking about simplifying
Mhm,
marketing. And yes, there's a lot that goes into it, but it does not have to be complicated.
mhm.
But people usually unintentionally make it very complicated. And I think it's just because they're distracted, right? Especially in the beginning
Exactly.
stages. You don't know
Exactly.
what you're doing,
Yes,
right? You
exactly.
don't know what you're
Yeah.
doing. And you're just inundated by all of these people who are telling you, this is what you do. And when you have 50 people telling you this is what you do, your brain's going to explode,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Uh,
And that's nobody's fault that we live in this world that's so insane. But if you don't have a person to like pull you out of the clouds and say, okay, let's get grounded, let's get deep and personal, let's figure this out. And sometimes that work is like behind the scenes, right? And so often we want to be like visible, 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 that we don't take the time to do the work that's behind the scenes. And that's why I created this refresh toolkit, right? It's like it's giving you 15 to 30 minutes alone with your brain to get real with what you really want. Like, what do you really want? And how do you want to bring it to the world? Right. And then let's go, oh, look, I only have to work on these 2 to 3 areas. I don't have to do everything that's out there. I just need to do these. But if we don't kind of get forced to get alone with that reflection time, then we overcomplicate, we waste money, we waste time. Like, and we just need to step back. And that's hard to do. It's hard for everybody, right? But that's what I'm good at helping people do. And so that's why I put things like,
yeah, I think that's amazing. And I also think it's important to remember not just in the beginning. Yes, like in the beginning, you need to, I mean, truthfully, in the beginning, you just need to like try a lot of things,
yes,
right?
that's
Because
totally right.
until you try all
Yeah.
of those different things, like it's just going to be in the back of your mind, right?
Yeah.
So like
You need to
I
take
feel like there's
action.
just that exactly. There's just like
Yeah.
that trial and error period in the beginning. And then you're going to get to a point where you're like, okay, I know what it is I do. I know who I want to help, right? And then guess what? That could change, right?
Hmm.
Like your
Hmm.
business can completely change and pivot. And then you almost have to start from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Like this has happened to me multiple times in
Yeah.
my business. Like I
Yeah.
started with an Etsy shop in my
Yeah.
like that was the very first
Yeah.
thing that I did, right? Now I do so many different things, right? But it's
Mhm.
just because my business has evolved and I, as a human, have evolved
Mhm.
too. When I started my business, I was newly married, 27 years old,
Mhm.
and like working in a 9 to 5 job. Now I have
Yeah.
2 kids, a husband, and like this whole life,
Yeah. Yeah.
So like things change and that's okay. And your kit, it can help with that, right? Like
Yeah.
regardless of where you're at in
Yes.
your business.
Yes, and that's so very true because the truth is that most of us, as an entrepreneur, nobody gives you a promotion. Nobody says, "Oh, here's your new title or here's your new
Right.
job thing." We have to give ourselves promotions and new titles. And honestly, it feels very intimidating to do that because nobody assigned it to me. I have to assign it to myself. I have to reinvent myself. And that can be scary, right? So I'm here to give you permission to reinvent yourself. Many of my clients are doing work that they should have been doing work like 8 years ago, and now they're so much more equipped to bring something new to the world. But they are understandably afraid. They are understandably like dealing with self doubt because nobody's telling them, yes, you should be doing this, right? They are understandably stuck in what they're used to being doing and comfortable with and kind of afraid to take that next step. And they can't even always see what's in them that can be brought out to help people and serve people in online space, right? And so they need something to draw that out of them too. So I fully agree. Like if you've been in business, 3, 4, 5 years, you probably inwardly have a tug to do something a little differently. Maybe it's not even a whole nother industry. Maybe it's just, oh, I need to add this thing to my business. Or maybe it's, I need to serve these different people, right? Or maybe it is a massive pivot and you're terrified to make it, but you need to like dig deep and go, hey, is it time for me to do this? And so like, that's why I kind of have in my subtitle a lot, like refreshing, reinventing, or reimagining your business. Give yourself permission to see what that could look like. And yeah, you kind of have to start over, but at the same time, you've learned from all your mistakes. So now when you do it this time, it's more streamlined, right? So once you dig deep and get the good brand roots again and the right intention and purpose and mission statement and offerings or whatever, now you can do it in a more streamlined way because you're so much more experienced than you were when you first started out.
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned that because I had this exact thought this morning as I got out of the shower, like just
It's always the shower.
full transparency. It was always a shower, right? Like
Yeah.
the shower thoughts are the best shot thoughts, right?
Yes.
And I had this thought where I was like, the things that I'm doing in my business now, based on everything that I know, I should have, right? Like I should
Mhm.
have been doing these things like 4 years ago, right? Like
Mhm.
because my peers who like people who have been in the same
Yeah.
in business for the same amount of time,
Yeah.
I mean, were doing those things 4 years ago, or maybe they were doing like something comparable,
Sure.
right? And I mean, I've been in business for 8.5 years at this point, and I mean, even today, there's these thoughts that come up, like, should I be doing something else? Am I doing the right thing? Am I at the point where I'm supposed to be in my business? And right now, I'm doing something that I never thought in a million years I would do, which is creating an all-in-one software
Mhm.
tool, like to
Yeah.
complement the things in my
Yeah.
business. But like, if
Yeah.
you would have told me five last year that I would be doing this, like
Yeah.
I would have told you you were
Yeah.
insane. Like there was no way that I could do that, right? So it's like every every new stage, every new season brings up different
Yes.
feelings, right? Different feelings, not only like internally, right? Like
Mhm.
sure, but also different feelings that you may need to like process with your partner, right? Because if I start to add this other like arm to my company, like that's going to affect my family, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's so many factors that come into play, but again, this all comes back to what we're talking about in your kid is really having that clarity. Really having that
Mhm.
clarity and knowing who you are, what you want, and how you want to impact people.
Mhm.
Because if you don't
Mhm.
know that, you can make all of the pivots in the world, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like you're just going to keep making pivots until the day you die,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you brought up a couple of really good points. One of which is like we feel the sense of I should have done this. And I just want to remind people that, you know, you don't have to do what people think you should be doing, right? We
Yes,
do want to reflect on
absolutely.
where we feel like we should be at, but we certainly don't want like pressure or comparison to make us make decisions that are outside alignment of our personality, our values, our giftings, our lifestyle, our family stage of life, right? Like that's a super great
Oh my,
point. It's really easy to
that's
compare your business stage to somebody else
I
in a
just
different business stage.
I
Yeah.
have to interrupt you right now
Yeah.
because that has been the biggest lesson that I've learned because the
Hmm.
people that I was like comparing myself to
Yeah.
were single with no children. And I have 2 kids under 5. Like
Yeah.
that is just a different life. And thinking about
Yeah.
the season is so important. So
Yes.
important. So
So
sorry. I
important.
just had to
No, that, I
I
mean,
had
I
to
think that's an unbelievably valuable point. And not just, oh, I wish I could be doing what they were doing, but I can't because of this, but rather to switch our mindset to like, what a blessing that I get to cultivate this business journey while I have the blessing of going through this experience with these children, right? So, like, bringing it together as the full picture and what a beautiful picture it is instead of, well, if only I could be doing this, but this is holding me back, right? So to live in this
right.
state of gratitude and abundance for what we've been given, even if we have less time for each little bucket in our life, right? So to kind of be
Yeah.
there. And then I think too, I know like there's no, there's a bazillion ways to grow your business. There's a lot of things we all want and don't want, but there is one thing I'm pretty sure that nobody wants, and that is a constant sense of comparison or disappointment to other people online, right? Nobody wants that. And you know
Yep.
what? None of us need to carry that. And the way you get rid of it is really by diving into that deeply rooted brand story, mission, your own purposes, your own personality. Because when you do that work, right, and you see literally there's not a human in the world that is like me with the same DNA on the same path in the same place, right? Like there is no comparison to my life. And I just want to own the life I have been given, the gifts I have been given, the challenges I have been given that grow me in certain ways, right? That bring certain opportunities. And when I can own that, like all that comparison goes away. I mean, there was
Mhm.
a stage when like first you would open, Instagram and every time you open it, you feel disappointed. Oh, everybody's doing more than me. And then there was a stage when I'm growing my mindset and feeling the sense of like, uniqueness in my brand story. And most of the time I'd feel great, but about every like fifth time I'd be like, oh, like I'm so disappointed that I'm not quite here. And now I'm at a stage where like I open Instagram and I think, oh my gosh, what a gift that I get to do this online business thing in this cool world with all these cool people. And like we're all so different and we can celebrate each other and I can be super excited for people and support them and just trust that my journey is my journey and their journey is their journey. And it feels really, really good. But that doesn't happen overnight. Like that's work we have to do, both in our mindset, but it often develops when we develop our brand story, when we take that reflection time and figure those pieces out, because suddenly nobody can compare to me. Like I'm only me and I can just cheer everybody else on and it feels really good.
Mhm. Yeah, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I've been through that exact same thing. It's so I love hearing other people say this because I just feel validated.
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm not the only person who has gone through this," right? And anybody watching here
Yeah.
too, I think it's just really refreshing to hear that, um, it's not easy, right? It's not easy, and there's different stages, there's different
Mhm.
seasons that we go through,
Mhm.
but I think every day gets easier. Just get a little bit easier, right? Because I'm the same. Like
Mhm.
I used to get so triggered when I would see somebody who was like quote unquote further along than me sharing how
Mhm.
they made X amount of money and I hadn't done that yet. And
Mhm.
now I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing that
Yeah.
that person did that. Like I'm so happy for them because I'm able to see the bigger picture.
Mhm.
It's not about that person is taking people away from me. It's about look at all this impact that we
Mhm.
are all having because there's
Yes.
more than enough people to support
Yes.
in this world, right?
Yes. And it gives us, I mean, we live in a day and age where people who maybe previously needed support and felt alone in whatever area was, they don't have to feel alone anymore. There is somebody to find online who can make them feel validated and encouraged and help them and transform their life, right? In every area, health and like wellness and beauty and business and like all these things in the most beautiful ways, like inside and out. And so to be part of this day and age where we get that opportunity allows us to kind of let go of all of the really icky things about the online world, right? And like the chaos and the distraction. We have to own how we do the online world well. But when you do it well, there is so many benefits to what we're all able to give to the world because of technology now.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's so incredibly true. Even what, 20 years? Oh, let's be real, 20 years is what, 2000? Okay,
Yeah.
probably a little different. I still think 20 years ago was like the 90s or the 80s. So,
Yeah, when you get a little bit older, the distances in those timelines change a little bit.
yeah, but, my husband and I were talking about the 20s
Yeah,
the other day, like the 1920s. I was like, we're in
yeah.
the 20s right now. That's,
I know.
that's
I
so
can
weird to
tell you
think
so
about.
many. I know my daughter who is 10. My son is 17, and then I have a 21-year-old daughter too. But I said to my 10-year-old, "Oh my gosh, you're going to be driving in 6 years," and she's like, "Mom, 6 years is like a century." I thought because it's like more than half her life. Like, of course, 6 years feels like really a long, right? So time is so relative. Like, I think that's the whole story here, but based on your age
Yeah.
and what you've done. But I think, that brings me to something that I just want to remind people of, which is it's easy as an entrepreneur because we tend to be driven, right? We tend to be goal oriented. We want to get here. We have a stage or a thing we want to do. It's easy to only feel like we're allowed to be happy or celebrate when we hit those things. And I'm like, no, you being an entrepreneur is part of your lifestyle. It's part of you as a human. You have to find joy along the journey, right? And so we have to be able to find joy in the hard parts, the good parts, the pushing parts, the parts that aren't going well, because if what are we doing otherwise, right? Like, I don't want to just hit
Right.
something in 10 years and be like, yay, I did it. I want to be like, today was a joyful day. And the one piece of messaging I put out into the internet that got one liked encouraged one human. That is a big deal. Let us not underestimate the big impact we can be making through our words and our actions and the transformation we help people have, because numbers sometimes feel small. Like, let's find so much joy and impact in that. And I think that goes back to when we can find the purpose behind our business, that's a lot bigger than just our own goals. We're going to constantly feel a lot more meaning and satisfaction and joy in what we do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's such a big thing. I've heard from so many people, they're like, "Well, I launched my program and I only sold it to one person." Great. That's amazing. That's one life that you get to change right now.
Yes.
And just imagine if that one person has such an incredible experience, they
Yeah.
refer 20 other people to you. Like
Yeah.
like how incredible is that, right? So, oh, there's so many different things that we can just continue talking about here. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and hours.
Yeah.
But thank you again for being here with me today, Shannon. Thank you again for contributing your refresh plan kit to the Simple Marketing Bundle. Because if you have not realized this yet, anybody who's either watching live or watching the replay, you need this kit. You need this kit before you can really do anything else in your marketing journey. So do yourself a favor, grab the Simple Marketing Bundle if you haven't. It ends today, April 23rd at 11:59 p.m. Central. It's only $7. Shannon's kit, on the other hand, I think it's what,
Yep.
$29 if you buy it
$29
individually.
value. Yep.
Yeah, $29 normally. So oh, save your money.
No brainer.
Yeah, no brainer. Save your cash, get all of the other 50 other resources in there. It's no brainer. So thank you again, Shannon. I appreciate you being here. And do you have, before we hop off, just any last minute like tips or like maybe a last minute strategy or something that anybody listening should keep in mind?
I think, first of all, this was a great conversation. Thank you so much. But just to remind people that your businesses are built one baby step at a time. Like, take the time to step back and evaluate, and then also be willing to take brave action, right? It's this balance of both. And I just send people off with purpose and joy and remind them that it's possible.
Yes, love that. Ah, so good, so good. And on that note, thank you everybody for being here, and we will see you later.
Thank you so much, Steph.